Whew. All right. All right. So, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about, is she taking you for granted? The red flags of disrespect. Oh, excuse me. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys could show your appreciation by supporting it by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing it to some of your friends, family, whoever that needs it. That being said, excuse me, I got a very itchy nose. All right. Excuse me in advance if I had to like sneeze and blow my nose. But anyways, let's get to the recap episode of Women Want to Be Your Cheerleader, Not Your Coach. And the slide is on why masculine men lead. So why do masculine men lead? And why is it so important that there's a difference between a masculine energy in a relationship versus a feminine energy? And this could be any type of relationship that you guys have. It could be a heterosexual relationship. It could be a gay lesbian. It could be any type of relationship. All you need is a difference in energy, a masculine and a feminine energy. Now, when I say woman, I'm referring it to a more feminine energy. When I say men, I'm talking about more masculine. So when a woman says she wants a man who could lead the relationship, it typically means that she's looking for a partner who can make decisions, who can take initiative, and provide a certain direction in all areas of his life. And he doesn't necessarily need to know everything, like nobody knows everything, but most importantly, he needs to have a sense of direction. He needs to take action, because action is what gives a man competence, and the more competent he is in his life, the more she feels safe. And he has to display that type of behavior in order for her to feel safe and comfortable in a relationship to open up. Now, I get guys that tells me like, yo, how come I'm the one that needs to do all of this? And well, you know what? No one, you don't have to, if you don't like it, and you could just sit back and do absolutely nothing. What's up, Tracy? You can sit back as a guy and be like, you know what? I don't want to do this, but don't be upset if you're not attracting the right person in your life based off your actions. So now, making decisions, taking initiative, providing a direction in all areas of his life. Hello, what's up, India? This includes relationships, family, career. Now, the desire of leadership usually have a sense of qualities such as confidence, being decisive, having a responsibility, and the ability to guide and support her. That is what a competent guy does. The number one most attractive characteristic of a man, of a guy, is confidence. But confidence just doesn't come out of nowhere. And more often than not, so Edith, more often than not, a lot of guys display this type of upfront confidence when in reality they don't really have much to really provide afterwards. It's like, well, after she sees through all his bullshit, he's like, damn, this guy's a fraud, this guy's an imposter. And that is usually when guys take a downfall. They go like rogue and be like, forget women, all women are like this. And you know what, I used to be a guy just like that, and I used to believe like all women are like this and all women are like that, and that is absolutely not the case. It's who you choose, who you decide to want to be with, and things like that. And I'll go over this as a slides, as I go along the slides now. So what she does not want is that she doesn't want someone that leans over and looks at her to make the decisions, because women in a relationship do not want the power in the relationship. And when I say power, I'm not saying like being aggressive. I'm talking about the power of making decisions and what should we do. It's like, well, if you're supposed to be the guy that is quote unquote penetrating the world, how come you're not penetrating anything, like making decisions, going through and taking calculated risks and being able to like overcome challenges and making decisions in the life so that she could be like, wow, I could trust him to make a right decision. And if he does not make the right decision, that is okay. He's always going to find a way in, not a way out. And that is what encompasses this certain quality of being a leader. Now, girls just want to have fun. She just wants to join in for the ride. And if you're a guy and you don't know how to create this feeling for her to make her feel safe and comfortable, to have fun and not take things too serious, you're not gonna spark a lot of interest in her. You're not gonna be this fun guy. And if you don't know how to make her feel good being around you, she's going to be like, well, this guy obviously don't know what he's doing, and so she's gonna lose interest. So girls just want to have fun. They just want to be the one that enjoys the time with you. It is attractive to them because being decisive means that you could take a lot of mental load off of her, and she doesn't need to be the one that's making all the decisions. It shows that as a guy, you have a strong sense of self and that you have good instincts. Now, if you want to better understand why being a leader is so attractive, we have to look at the opposite, the other side of the coin, which is being indecisive. And being indecisive and hesitant slows you down in all areas of your life. So this shows a lack of confidence in who you are and who and what you want and who do you want to be. And if you're supposed to be the leader and a provider and a protector, but you lack traits of decision making, well, what does it mean for her? It means that, well, in modern terminology or analogy, the quality of life declines. What's up, Crystal? Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So imagine if you were a guy who makes quick decisions, does not hesitate, knows what he wants, is sure of himself. It makes the woman that he talks to, that makes her feel certain that he wants to get to know her, that he's curious, and he's confident because he's approaching her. He's like, hey, how's it going? Blah, 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 blah. I would love to get to know you. Do you like coffee? What do you like to eat? Have fun, right? Have fun. That wants to get to know her, compared to the guy that doesn't really do anything. He's kind of hesitant. He's indecisive about his words and his actions. How can she trust a man if he can't even display those type of behaviors? Now, I do want to apologize. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is something that I've already mentioned before. Basically, I grabbed from some of the past slides. So if you heard something that's very similar, it's because I've grabbed something from my previous slides. I just came back not too long ago, didn't really have a lot of time, but there are some new things that I'll be talking about. All right, so women don't dump men they are fully in love with, or they are in love with. They only dump men that they lose interest and they no longer have romantic feelings towards, or in other words, lack of attraction. Okay. All right. So all women have a desire in a relationship to feel protected. That is why a lot of women would like to date this quote unquote bad boy, or, the opposite of this nice guy, the bad boy, because the bad boy gives this type of illusion that he has a lot of sense of direction and he will stand up for her if things, really go down. He is persistent and he pursues her, which displays a lot of confidence. And what she realizes later on, though, this whole upfront type of confidence, what seems to be a great leader up front soon realizes that it was all a front, which causes her to feel kind of unsure about him, that he doesn't understand what it takes to maintain that type of attraction for her. And she starts losing interest. And when a woman starts losing interest in you, guys would like to do what my coach says, the illusion of action. Oh, like she's starting to pull away. She's starting to become a little bit cold and distant. So I need to do something. So this illusion of action means like, oh, I have to do something in order to get her back, in order to get her attention focused back on me again. And it sounds productive. It's like, wow, if I do something, she will want. It's like, no, it's you want to do the opposite of that. Because how many guys out there felt like they had to do something and then did it and then did not get the proper response that he wanted? More often than not, he does something and it pushes her away even more. Now, feminine energy wants to feel protected. She wants to feel provided for and taken care of. It is a part of feminine energy to bond, to connect, to focus on relationship labels. It's feminine energy. But only if she is willing to be open, and she has to be willing to do it by herself. So it has to be her choice. And if she's able to. So I always talk about how she has to be willing, or not just her, but everybody. She has to be willing, able, and open. She has to be all three of those, okay, to allow her to feel safe to open up. I could give you an example. So I have my girlfriend's cat. She's scared. She's in the bathroom, and I always say women are like cats. So here's my analogy. So right now she's in the bathroom. She's kind of scared. She's kind of like, well, this place is unfamiliar. I don't know if I'm in danger. All I know is that me being in this bathroom right now means that I am safe. She doesn't know much about this place. She knows who I am. That's nice. But I'm not always there. So whenever I am up there, she comes out. And it's kind of like, well, how come? And the reason is because I provide this safety for her to feel safe and comfortable being around me when I'm around. Now, if a person comes in, she immediately jets back into the bathroom. She doesn't want to deal with anybody. But if she feels safe, she will slowly kind of creep out, kind of take a peek. And as a guy, you want to be able to display those type of behaviors that make not just your girl, but any living thing to feel safe and comfortable to come up to you as they please. And so we look at it in a situation where it's like, well, love is allowing. Love is about giving. It's never forceful. I would never force her to come out of that cage, or not cage, that bathroom, and put her into and forcefully bring her out so that she feels uncomfortable, unless it's like danger, right? Now, unless it's some dangerous inside, then I have to take it out. Then that's different. But I'm just saying, like, for the most part, I will never force her. I'll be like, hey, you know what? Take your time. Take all the time you need. I'm right here. I'm not going to force you. But if you do decide to come out, you're more than welcome to. So that's the type of confidence that I have. And women would pick that up as a guy. Now, let's go back to this, the main thing over here. It is our job as a man to display competence. Well, how does competence occur? Well, it's by taking action, taking massive action. Continue to do it over and over again. And if you mess up, you continue to get better. And you start, recalibrating certain things that you made a mistake here, so you recalibrate. By displaying a lot of competence, you earn, or you start to feel confident in what you do. And the number one most attractive thing to a woman is confidence. So by taking action, you become better. You become someone that does less mistakes. And then you feel confident because you make less mistakes. And when you make less mistakes, you're going to feel confident. You're like, yeah, I could do this. Before it was 50-50. Now it's at least 90-10. So 90% in your favor. So aren't you going to feel a lot more confident going in? It's, so now you're looking for someone now. As a guy, I'm looking for someone who's easygoing, who's easy to get along with, that she understands what I do for her is valued and cherished. Not seen as, not to be seen as an obligation. Because I'm with her, I need to do this to make her happy. And so that she, remains happy. It's like, that's the opposite. That's not a relationship. That seems more like a transaction. In order to be around me, you have to do this. It's like, well, there's certain rules in a relationship that you guys, that you both have to establish. But besides that, you should never feel obligated to do a certain thing in order to make someone happy in a relationship. Like, meaning like you got to bend over backwards into like a pretzel so that she could be happy. And it's like, and I'll talk about that later too, because a lot of guys I know, they bend over backwards, try to make her happy. I would do this, I'll do that, and for some reason she still is upset, and he wonders why. And I'll talk about that later on down my slides. So want someone that values what you do and cherishes what you do, and not to be seen as an obligation. Woman wants a man to understand and learn how to hold her feminine energy and to protect that feminine energy so she feels safe and comfortable to express herself. So little things like when she's upset, you're like, oh, what's bothering you? What's going on? What's on your mind? I'm here, I'm listening. Tell me more. Don't leave anything out. Like, really genuinely want to listen to her. And if she opens up and expresses how she feels, you also have to understand, like, it's not about you, it's about her. And you just listen. And as you're listening to her and you understand where she's coming from and you become more empathetic, you're conveying to her and to other women in the future, assuming that, you know, she's not the one for you, to anybody, that you understand, that you're willing to listen, and that you're able to make changes without bending over backwards into like a pretzel. That you understand her, and so she will feel safe and comfortable to open up. Women need to open up. That is how she solves problems. When she opens up to you and you listen and you make minor adjustments, that is how she feels safe and comfortable to open up to you. But if you convey otherwise, and you're argumentative, you're like, what do you mean, blah, blah, it becomes about you. It's no longer about her. You're conveying to her that I don't understand you, and I'm not going to change, and everything's going to stay the same. And so what does that mean? It means that I feel like I need to settle with somebody, and that's the last thing you want her to feel about you. So women want a man to understand how to hold her feminine energy, to protect it, so that you could allow her to open up. Now, but if he starts, like I said, starts displaying behaviors of weak behaviors, like lack of direction, unable to pick himself back up, and I'm saying like maybe he lost his job or something, you know, tragic happened, and you know, it's like she would deal with that. And most of the time women would deal with that, depending on the time, how emotionally invested she is, about 6 to 12 months before she's like, you know what, screw this, he's not going to change, I'm out the door. So like I said, he will face consequences, and that's just the way it is. If you act like a bitch in front of a woman, it doesn't matter how long you've been with her, if you act like a bitch, she will eventually treat you like a bitch. So this goes for all guys, me included. If I start acting weak, she will be like, what is wrong with you? And little by little, she will start throwing things, a little disrespect here, a little disrespect there, start talking down about me, or you know, worse, talking down about me in front of her friends, maybe family. It's like little disrespects like that. It starts to occur, and you don't nip that in the butt, it's gonna get worse. So, like I said, you can treat her right. You can be the nicest guy, does everything for her, put a roof over her head, and she will not reciprocate the same feeling and disrespect you at the same time. Because why? She's taking you for granted. But now it's like, well, guys get this mistake of, well, I'm doing everything for her, I do this, I do that, you know, like, it should make sense as to why she shouldn't, like, people would, like, on paper, a lot of like women would be like, damn, I love to have a guy like that. But like I said, if you act like a bitch, she's going to treat you like a bitch. It doesn't matter how much money you got, how much you make, how tall you are, how many abs you got. None of that matters. If you act like a bitch, she's going to treat you like a bitch. So little things like, you know, talking about being with another guy, her threatening to leave you, how this guy looks so much better, how he's so much more fit, and look at you, you're overweight, you're out of shape, and things like that. And so when she starts throwing those things at you, us as guys, our first reaction is to be reactive. The opposite of that is being responsive, and you want to be the opposite. This should not diminish you as a guy and as a man. This should, this doesn't mean that you become an asshole, you become condescending to women and things like that, because I've seen it. I've seen guys that just because they've been burned one too many times because they didn't learn, they're gonna go and blame it on all women, and all women are like this, modern women like that, and they have this certain belief, and this is how they believe that all women are like this, and that's absolutely not true. And so what does it mean? It means that you just have to adjust your behavior. You have to adjust your behavior. What you're doing is not right, and you have to have a certain belief. You have to have a certain belief that there are good women out there, that there are good people that won't disrespect you. And if they do, you give them the gift of missing you, because the greatest gift that you could give anyone is the gift of your time. And if they don't cherish it, you place your attention somewhere else. You don't have to be like, well, F this person. I mean, you can, some people are petty, and you could be petty, but it means that you put your attention somewhere else where you're more valued. And that's really ultimately what it is. But if you truly don't believe what your time is valuable, you're going to give it away to anybody that don't deserve it. And they're going to disrespect that by not caring, showing up late, not cherishing the time that you're there. It's like, nah, that's not going to fly. Now, so how to gain respect from her? Now, the mass of men live life of quiet desperation. So respecting a man for, in a woman's mind, is not always her first choice in a relationship. It's not. And so, quite frankly, a lot of men out there do not deserve respect for women because, one, they haven't learned it. They don't understand. Men who understands women are loved by women. So that is why it's so important to understand from a woman's perspective, because you just become more valuable in the marketplace. If you could convey as a guy that you understand how women are, how they solve problems, what it means when they're reactive because maybe they're hangry, it's like, okay, you just needed some food and that's fine, right? And then you could judge her character based on what she does and little things like that. It's like, if you learn how to navigate through that, you will be like, every time she does something, it's like, boom, light bulb. I know how to solve this. Boom, light bulb. And every now and then, you might be like, damn, light bulb, but no light, and you get stuck. And there's a way to understand that, to help navigate through that. And you're at the right place if you're watching this. You learn how to navigate through your relationship, through phases of the relationship, what it takes to understand, to maintain to maintain attraction in a relationship. Like, those are all important things. And a lot of guys, they like to focus on the pickup, the game, and that's fun because it's like exciting. But what's more exciting is having someone that cherishes you, that understands you, that will love you for who you are based off who you have become or you became. That is where the true value is. And so if you understand this, you become unstoppable. You become irresistible. She is not going to want to trade you off for another guy if you can become this guy. And you become, like I said, a high value man in the marketplace if you were ever single. Like, women will like flock to you just because of who you are and you're grounded as a guy. And that's very important. So, like I said, respect is not always the first thing in a woman's mind, especially in a relationship. And not a lot of guys deserve this because they never learned it. Now, in order to have respect from her, you have to earn it. You have to be assertive and know what you want. And you don't tolerate the BS that she kind of throws at you. You learn how to deflect it and become non-reactive. And instead, like I said, be more responsive. So if she throw some shade at you or say some things. I mean, recently I was at a dinner table and there was someone that this lady was being disrespectful to her man, and it was little things like, stop doing this, or can't you tell I'm talking, or people are talking over here, and little tiny disrespects like that. That is how, if she feels like she could get away with that, she's gonna get away with more. That is why you hear the cliche of take an inch, you give her an inch, she's gonna take a mile. And it's like, well, whatever you tolerate, you invite more of it. So you have to you got to stop that right there and then. So if I was in that dinner table and my girl said that to me, I'm going to ask her a question. I'm going to ask her a question. I'm going to be like, why do you think talking to me like that is right? Or why do you think, you want to make sure you ask her a question so that she questions her own action. Why do you think it is right for you to talk to me like that in front of everybody? I'm going to call you out. Why do you think it's okay for you to talk to me like that in front of everybody? Because the person who's asking the questions in the conversation is the one who's in control of the conversation. And like what my coach says, no one would ever do or say anything to you that you do not invite them to do. So, like I said, common signs of disrespect in relationships are like silent treatments, it's emotional abuse. Silent treatments is emotional abuse. Now, you could be like, I'm not going to talk to you because every time I try to talk to you, you become this type of person. You don't listen. All you do is yell and be argumentative. I'm not going to tolerate that. And then you let them know, I'm not going to talk to you until you decide to want to change. And that is your choice. I'm not going to force you to change, but I'm not going to be, basically what you're saying is, I'm not going to be around someone that's going to disrespect me like that. And I'm not going to tolerate that. And if you want to be with me, with someone like me, this is how it's going to be. And it's not asking for much. I think that should be like a baseline of not tolerating disrespect. Okay? And so silent treatments, it's emotional abuse, because what she's doing or what he's doing is, look, I'm not going to talk to you because I feel like you need punishment, and I'm going to punish you until I feel like you don't deserve it anymore, or until I feel like you had enough. And that is not right. It is emotional abuse, and you should nip that right in the bud right away. Another one could be jealousy. Jealousy, it has a lot to do with what happened in the past, and it's like, it's not your job to make them feel not jealous. And jealous is a very natural thing because you don't want to lose what you worked so much and invested in. But at the end of the day, you still have to be that person. It's like, what have I ever done that caused you to feel jealous with the people of, like, if I'm around people of the opposite sex, what caused that? Like, what's going on? And did I ever do anything that made you feel jealous? Like, that overstepped certain boundaries? Like, have I ever done that? So, another one is betrayal. So acting intentionally in a dishonest way. So purposely being intimate with the person with the opposite sex, or even secretly, So basically crossing boundaries again, and belittling. And usually belittling is like one of the quickest way to find out whether or not that person is outright being disrespectful and taking you for granted. And so talking down, making it seem like little things don't matter. Oh, it was just a joke. It was just a joke. It's like, if I asked that question, or let's just say I was at that dinner table and it's like, can't you tell everyone's talking? And she's making those little things like that. And I nip that right in the butt and be like, hey, what makes you think talking to people like that is right? What makes you think? And she's like, oh, it's just meant to be a joke. Well, I don't take that as a joke. So I just want to let you know that, that's very disrespectful, and, I'm not going to tolerate that. All right. And that's it. And see where it goes, because when someone who is unhealthy and you say certain things like that, they become very argumentative, they be reactive. That is a clear sign that that person does not have any emotional self-control, and that they should be dismissed, or disqualifies them to be in your life. And that is how you set and enforce healthy boundaries. So belittling, betrayal, jealousy, silent treatment. two more slides, guys. So I need to talk about this one because excuse me, recently, I was talking to someone. And this person was, he was telling me about the situation that's going on. And, we didn't really have enough time to discuss this. So if you're watching this, hopefully this is going to be helpful to you. All right. And so this third slide is is about giving up your hobbies. Okay. Giving up on the things that you love doing. And so when she accuses you of being this adult child that you collect sports cards, or you collect figurines, or you play video games, or like, you just, for me, it could be like collecting Pokemon cards. Like, don't you think it's kind of childish? Like you're being this adult child because you're collecting Pokemon. Like, kids collect Pokemon cards. Why are you collecting Pokemon cards? Or your stamp collection, or you train, whatever it is, right? In other words, things you do in your pastime that makes you happy, and you stop doing it for her. What happens is that this immediately puts you into the people-pleasing mentality. When you are intentionally, or probably unintentionally, or unconsciously putting yourself in this people-pleasing type of mentality, it turns women off immediately. But us as guys, it makes a lot of sense. It's like, well, okay, maybe Pokemon is a little childish because when I grew up as a kid, as a teenager, I collect Pokemon cards. And then now I'm an adult. It's like, yeah, maybe you're right. So logically, it makes a lot of sense. Logically, because men, we're very logical. Maybe we are too old to collect Pokemon cards, to collect sports cards, or whatever. So now we start doing things that quote unquote make sense to us, because it makes sense. And if I just stop collecting these cards, these figurines, these sports cards, or, just give up on my hobby, she won't be upset, and she will get off my back about things. And, and if that is the way you think, you have to understand what just happened there. If you give up on the hobbies that you enjoy, you in essence give up a part of yourself so that you could please her. A part of you dies basically so that she could live happier. And that is not a healthy trade-off in a relationship. The reality is, no matter what you do, she is still going to be upset. So if you give up on your hobbies, you give up on your Pokemon cards and whatever, she's still going to be upset. And it will turn her off even more because you're in this people-pleasing type of mindset. Being a people pleaser is not a masculine thing at all. It is not a masculine trait, because what you're conveying to her is, you're right. I should give up on my hobbies, the things that I love doing, things that makes me happy. And it's not something that's, overstepping boundaries. I don't think collecting sports cards is overstepping boundaries. Maybe going out late at night to those clubs that you probably shouldn't be doing, that is considered the betrayal of trust. That's overstepping boundaries. Collecting Pokemon cards, little things like that makes you happy. It's not. And so when you give up on all those things, you're basically saying that, well, you're conveying to her that she cannot trust your masculine core, that you are no longer the leader. And when you convey that you are no longer the leader in this relationship, she will continue to test you. The more she tests you, the more you fail those tests, she's going to see you less of a man. And when a woman sees you less of a man, she starts losing respect for you, because like I said, you're no longer the leader in the relationship. And you have to understand, where respect goes, love follows. So if a woman does not respect you, love goes away just like that. And if a woman respects you, there's a high potential that she could fall in love with you, assuming that, you're interested in her, you court her, you date her, because it all starts with respect, by respecting somebody and understanding that. So now, like I said, because you're no longer the leader in a relationship, where respect goes, love follows. And trust me, no feminine woman wants to be the leader in the relationship. And like I said, don't confuse being a leader with being controlling, because a lot of people feel like, oh, I need to control this person. I'm the leader. I make the decisions. It's like, no, absolutely not. It's just finding that balance between that. It's like being a leader means that I lead and I go first. So if I'm hungry, and I know she's hungry too, I could ask her, what do you feel like eating today? Give me a cuisine. And let's just say if she knows, like she knows better places to go eat. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that her picking a spot, like, oh, she'd be like, oh, I love burgers. I know a burger spot. We should go there. And you allow her to pick a burger spot. It doesn't make you less of a man. It just means that, yeah, absolutely. You should still guide. You should still go first. You should be like, I think that's a very good idea. We should go there. We should go there because you are better at it, and that's fine. And that's fine. And so you go towards that, right? Because ultimately you want to go to a place where she's happy and where she's excited to go. That makes sense. Like, you want her to be happy, and so that is why you're going. And because she knows where she wants to go already, and that's okay. Now, a lot of guys think otherwise. They think like, oh, because she made the decision, like I'm not really making that decision. And it's like they have this set in stone where it's like, oh, I'm the guy. She can't make any decision. I have to lead. It's like, no, you still want, ultimately you want to make her happy, but you're not bending over backwards being a pretzel so that she remains happy. That's what it means. It's like, yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. It's like you also want to go there too because you like it. And from time to time, you'd be like, you know what? You like that place a lot. Absolutely. We should totally go. I might have, appetizer there, here and there, but maybe, I might stop by a different place because, you know me, I don't always eat burgers, I don't always eat burgers. So I want to get something else, but I'll go there. I'll eat a little something. And then, yeah, like there's a compromise somewhere. Moving on to my last slide is focus on being competent. So you have to focus, as a guy, you have to focus on being competent. Like I said, if she's taking you for granted and she's disrespecting you, it's probably because you are a incompetent person. Okay. Now I'm not saying that, oh, she's a good candidate. And I'm just assuming that she's it's a pretzel. I'm assuming that she's a happy, healthy person, happy, healthy individual. A lot of pretzel. I've actually been eating a lot of pretzels lately. But yeah, bending over backwards. Basically, you don't want to be a people pleaser. That's the last thing that she ever wants from a guy. So now, as a guy, if you're incompetent, that's fine. Everybody has to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere. I didn't know what the hell I was doing before. I was like, God damn, like I was just making mistakes left and right. And I didn't blame it on her. I blamed it on myself. And I was like, look, there's some way, shape or form, I'm making a mistake. Yes, I am live. Is this Janelli from way back? From way back? All right, well, let me focus on this last slide. All right, so focus on being competent. So as a guy, you want to focus on being competent. So you want to make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally. You want to take care of yourself, your physical self. So physical, your mental, your relationships, and how you handle things. You want to learn how to handle things. Yeah, it's been a minute. So you want to focus on handling things, how you focus on like making things happen. And just remember that whatever you tolerate in a relationship or anywhere in life, whatever you tolerate, you invite more of it. And understand that weakness invites aggression. So if you're weak, like, what was this? Jordan Peterson mentioned like, oh, this guy's very good. He's very nice. He wouldn't hurt a fly. It's like, no, you should be dangerous as a guy. You should be not feared, but don't overstep my boundary, because I will do certain things, but I'm not going to do it because I understand that whatever I do has consequences. but you're not just gonna overstep me. Set boundaries, and weakness always invites aggression. So don't be a weak man, in other words, okay? So be dangerous but kind. You want to be a very kind person. The most dangerous people out there are very kind people. So can you say an example of how to really implement boundaries early? So it's really up to you. So your example, so your boundaries that you set are what you value. What are your values on certain things? It's like, well, a guy could be, before a relationship, he could be like, well, if he says, if you have male friends, I cannot be with a woman that has male friends. Now, is it a little bit extreme? I think that's a little bit extreme. And if that's what he believes, and that's what he trusts, because maybe in the past he's been burned one too many times. He's like, look, I don't want to be with a woman that has male friends. That's what he believes, and that's what he sets. Is that unfair? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're like, well, I could accept that, then it's fine. So that is how you set and enforce healthy boundaries. Another one was when I was talking about, I was at a dinner table recently, and this lady said, somewhere along the lines of, can't you tell people are talking, or like, hey, stop, or shut up, or whatever, like people are talking over here. And the guy didn't say anything about that, and I was like, ooh, I heard it, but I wasn't it's not my place. It's not my place, right? And so I heard it, and I was like, ooh. And right there and then, I would have nipped that right in the butt. I would have been like, I would like to ask questions. And whoever's asking the questions in a conversation is the one who is in control of the conversation. So by asking a question back to her, like, why do you think it is okay for you to talk to people like that? And that is how you throw the ball back in her court and see how she reacts or responds to that. Maybe she was like, oh, I'm sorry, that was a little rude. Sure. Okay. No, it's okay. But basically you're like, hey, whatever that you just did, it needs to stop, because if you continue to do that, I'm no longer going to be around. And so that is how you set and enforce healthy boundaries. You just and it doesn't mean like you become argumentative and like reactive and things like that. This will be saved, right? I'm gonna be a watch later. Yes, this will be saved. You barely started to set them. Yeah. And in the beginning, this will always be saved. And so what ended up happening, usually, like for me in the past, is like, when I didn't understand about setting and enforcing healthy boundaries, I was upset, and I was telling people, this is, like, you need to when I was reactive, and I was more like controlling. I was like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's like, well, that is not how you set and enforce healthy boundaries. When I set and enforce healthy boundaries, what I'm saying to you is, this is what I am not tolerating. And if you continue to violate this, I will no longer be present in your life. Meaning that I have no problem walking away. I have no problem. And it's nothing ill. I'm just saying that I don't believe that my value is placed in here because you are disrespecting me. And so I'm going to walk away. I'm just going to walk away. And then they could be like, this is where potentially the gaslighting could start happening. Oh, you being dramatic. Oh, you being this. It's like, no, absolutely not. You don't talk to people like that. I don't talk to you like that. And if you continue to violate those and you continue to be disrespectful, I am no longer going to be in your life. And that is okay for me because I know where my value is. And that's because I've been working towards that. So if you don't know your value, it's probably because you're incompetent. You don't know what value means to you. And so a lot of people, they get very argumentative. And when you are argumentative, behind anger is always fear. So if you're argumentative, it means that you're angry, and if you're angry, it means you're fearful. You're fearful of one thing. It means that whatever that is, you're unsure what's gonna happen. And it's like, if I know my value, all right, let me just walk away. Let me just step away. So focus on being competent. All right. So the quickest way to attract better people in your life is to be competent. So focus on your mental self, focus on your physical self. And that's the quickest way to attract better people in your life. So if you're stuck with someone that's already disrespecting you, how do you think they will act if nothing changes? How do you think they will act in the next 6 months? And do you want that to continue for the next 6 years? And as a man, if what she's doing to you is causing an emotional reaction, so if she's saying something to me and I get emotionally reactive and I get bothered, I get stifled, I'm perturbed, I become argumentative, this just reinforces her belief, like, damn, I have a bitch ass man in my life. Like, this man acts like a bitch. He doesn't know how to act. And so when that does happen, she's like, damn, whatever he just did just reinforced it. And now you're communicating that you don't understand her. As a guy, I'm communicating to her that I don't understand her, or to any woman in particular. Now, whether or not if she's wifey material, if she's a good candidate to be a good girlfriend, we don't know that, right? We don't know that. We have to look at her based off her actions. Because you have to understand that people could say a lot of things. People will lie. And you have to understand you got a bottom line to behaviors, because their character is destiny. You can't change who they are. You're not supposed to ever change anybody. You can't change who they are. But you can change yourself. And you have to decide, and you could decide on who you want to be with. And there are a lot of people that came to me and be like, you know what? I'm glad that I stepped away from that relationship, because that person was not willing to change, and I found a better person in my life. And I'm like, absolutely. That's because you knew and you understood, you followed what I said, and you understood, like, hey, you know what? This person is not good in my life. I stepped away from it, and I attracted a better person by becoming a person that I want to attract, by setting and understanding what you value, because you don't know what value is. It's like if money was given to you your entire life, does it make any sense to get a job? If money was thrown at you, I'm talking about thousands, whatever, right? Like, if money was thrown at you, you don't understand the value behind that. And so it's like, well, you wouldn't understand the value of being a good person if you never valued it in the beginning. You don't know what it takes to not be this quote unquote liability, where it's like, well, anybody that walks by, you're like, damn, I can't control myself. You got to do something. Oh, I have to talk to her, knowing that you have like a girlfriend or a wife. Like, I know people like that. And it's like, well, if you want someone that is loyal to you, but you are not loyal yourself, what makes you think you really understand the value of being loyal? What it takes to resist those type of temptations? It's like, yeah, I understand attraction is not a choice, but what you can do is you can control your actions. And so, like I said, you can't control what she does, but you can control what you do by becoming your most attractive self again, by being competent. Because, like what Dale Carnegie says, inaction breeds fear and doubt. Taking action breeds confidence and courage. So for the people out there that are struggling to be with someone, it's like you feel stuck. You feel like, damn, I'm with this person. It's been like 4 or 5 years, 10 years, whatever, right? 3 months or whatever it takes. And it feels like this person is the best person I could get. That is a myth. Okay. The one, it's a myth. Okay. There's no the one. There's better people. There's always someone better out there. It's just what you are willing to tolerate. And so if you don't understand what you value, you will continue to get disrespected by the person that does not value you, your time, your presence. And like I said, the greatest gift that you could give to anybody is the gift of your time. So understand that. And if they don't appreciate that, place your value somewhere else. And with that being said, that is the end of the show. Thank you guys for watching. You were watching. Is she taking you for granted? The red flags of disrespect. And I'm going to go over some of these slides that I've talked about, which is the first slide was women don't dump men they are in love with. They just don't. They will not. Okay. They will give up anything to be. If she's head over heels in love with you, she's not going to dump you. Anywhere you go, she's going to want to be with you. Why? Because she feels like she could trust you. You're competent. You're a guy that she trusts. And trust goes a long way. And learning and understanding that type of trust, you don't ever want to break that trust. So you're looking for someone who's easygoing, who's easy to get along with. She understands what it takes, that what you do for her, she values and cherishes, not to be seen as a obligation. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you, Tracy. Now, how to gain respect from her. No one will ever do or say anything to you that you do not invite them to do. So respecting a man is not always her first choice. So meaning that it's to be earned. When you walk in, when you go and approach her, when you talk to her and how you communicate, you want to make sure that you're conveying yourself to a way where, look, I am a person to be respected, and that's okay if you do not want my attention. And that's why, like, when guys, they approach women, it's to them, one, it's a numbers game because you're not attractive to everybody, but your confidence is what is going to ultimately attract her into your life. Giving up on your hobby. Okay. Third slide was giving up on your hobby. If you give up on your hobbies that you enjoy, you in essence give up a part of yourself so you could please her. It is not masculine because what you're conveying is, I am a people pleaser, right? I'm willing to please you by throwing away something that I love and enjoy so that you won't be upset. And like I said, that is not masculine. That's you're bending over backwards, being this pretzel so that you could please her. And she will see you less of a man. And the last thing is, you want to focus on being a competent guy. You just want to focus on being competent. So being competent, you want to make sure you take care of your mental. So it means that, well, maybe you have to listen to podcasts. Maybe you might need to read a book. And then you have to apply those actions so that you're learning. You got to take care of your physical self. So what you put into your body, as well as what you're putting out, whether it's going to a gym, going for walks, whatever it is, you want to be healthy. Then you want to focus on your relationships. You want to focus on the relationship you have with yourself, with other people, and then you handle things. You handle things by applying action. And remember, whatever you tolerate, you invite more of. Weakness always invites aggression. So as a guy, you want to be dangerous. You want to be a dangerous man, but you want to be kind to everybody. And because if you feel like you're stuck with someone that's already disrespecting you, how do you think, or what do you think is going to happen within the next 6 months? What do you think is going to do? And do you think the behavior is going to change within 6 years if you continue to tolerate the disrespect moving forward? And so that being said, hope you guys enjoy your weekend and that you enjoyed this show. And I will catch you guys on the next episode next Saturday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Thank you guys for watching and have a good weekend. Peace.